So yeah, this is just me summarizing day 4 of the doing program. Uh, I think from my notes, of course, we discussed something about light and heavy. Once you put Al, then you are not thinking about heavy or light again. And of course, it just become like, for example, Al Islamu. I say Al Islamu. Also, so let's talk about that. And I also remember that we start discussing probability, which is actually is not part of it's not part of the characteristics of isim. It's actually part of it's under status. Yeah, if I remember correctly. So just like we have the conditions for light and heavy, we also have the same condition, like something similar also. It's just like under status basically. And for flexibility, we have three cases, which is fully flexible, partly flexible, and non-flexible. So taking from my notes, I think the fully flexible is the easiest one. And of course, the Arabic word was, let me see, Mu'rab and all this stuff. I think, yeah, Mu'rab, sorry for Mu'rab, that is fully flexible. Mamnu' min as-sarf, that is partly flexible, and Mabni, that is non-flexible. So the Muslim shad, generally, everything there is flexible, which means that we can have jar, we can have nasib, we can have refer, all differently. So for me, I would say that nasib is not equals to jar and is not equals to refer, for example, like that. That's the way I put it in my notes. So Muslimun, is the equals like that. But then non-flexible is like it's also like I would say quite interesting part, because for example that means that it cannot change. So some words like that end in alif maksura or nomaya, like Zakaria, Huda, Musa, they cannot really change. So they are they are non-flexible. And of course, Asma or Ishara, that's the, like Hada, Bihi, Dharika, Tanika, Tilka, Aulai, all these pointer words, they don't necessarily change. So you cannot say ha, hada, hazi, azu, it's just aza, basically. And of course, al-asma al-mawsula, and those are like the word to, I would say maybe some descriptive or to lay emphasis or describe something. For example, alladhi, allati, all these also, yeah, alladhi, allati, ma, man, and alladhi is just the one which or something like that, someone who or the one like that. Allati, that is for feminine, ma is what? Man is who or whoever, something like that. Allati is like the plural feminine for alladhina, and then I think, yeah, that is that about that. So a good example is Musa. It's just always Musa. Also, of course, have that also the same all this stuff. So you cannot say Musa, Musi, Mak, something like that. It's just like that. And then the other part is like partly flexible. Yeah. So basically, this has only one ending. If I remember correctly, also from my notes. And of course, like if we talk about the partly flexible, so that means that like they're a little bit they change. For example, the basic form, which is the rough form, let's say makatu, you can have makata, but no makati. So for me, I would say like jar and nasib is like the same. The rough form is independent. So Yusufa, something like this. So they literally have two endings. And then there are ways you can actually change your your partly flexible now into like fully flexible. So if you add the al, for example, if I say, can I say al Yusufu? I don't know. Of course, you don't have al to name, so you cannot say that. But let's see. If I say, let me see my book. The example I say, yeah. For example, if you say akbar, you cannot say akbari. You only have akbar. Akbaru, Akbara. So you cannot say Akbar, Akbari. So of course, that is a good example. You can say Al Akbaru, which actually change the meaning. Then you can also make it like completely flexible. So you can say Al Akbaru, Al Akbari, Al Akbara. So yeah, that is the point there. And of course, also Ustadh also mentioned about if you start using this format of something like Afu, Alu format, so you start talking about color or comparison. So Akbar just means that something is greater, but then it's not greatest. If I say Al Akbar, that is the greatest. now, and I can make it fully flexible. Al-akbar, al-akbar, al-akbar. And then, yeah, that's it. But of course, also, you also talk about comparison in terms of color. Also, you can also talk about color, like abiyadu. I can say al-abiyadu, al-abiyada, al-abiyadi. So if I say abiyadu is abiyada, then abiyada. Also for hijab, there's no abiyadi. So, of course, for disability, for example, upcome someone that cannot talk, or already someone that has some physical disability. Yeah, and that's how you change it. Then, of course, another way also to turn to completely flexible, if it is partly flexible, it's if it is in a mudaf state. It is like it's like actually a mudaf basically. So in that sense, like it can also be like fully flexible. For example, if I say fi ahsani taqwim, of course, ahsani. Normally, I will say ahsanu ahsana if it is like that. But then in this case, because ahsanu taqwim, right? So in this case, ahsanu is acting like, because it's light, and taqwim is like, of course, it's a kasra, so that is mudaf from mudaf ilayh. So in that sense, you can say that it's actually like it's acting as a mudaf. So you can say fi ahsani taqwim, and also you can also say bi ahkamil hakimin. Of course, it's also followed by of course, because al-hakim also is also an ism. So you're kind of comparing now, because you cannot compare, because there was a question about the fact of like, oh, I know if I'm saying a'lamu, which is like I know, or a'lamu, I know better, I sound with more knowledge. And the Ustadh gave an example, like in the Quran, where Allah was talking about inni a'lamu ghayba samawati wal ard. Now, if you say inni a'lamu ghayba, because a'lamu there, so is it like comparison, or is it like normal, like I know? And if you have gaiba is what? Gaiba, of course, is not like in the state of mudaf ilayh, which is kasra. So you cannot actually say that it's acting as comparison there. Basically, it's just like I know gaiba, the hidden knowledge, the knowledge of. So you cannot say that certainly I know more knowledgeable. No, that's not what Allah is saying there. According to Ustadh's narration, it means that certainly I know. So because also gaiba is also like a detail there, as we see, it's having a message. So I think that is the summary of this 1.5 hour video. And yeah, of course, there's also another question about, someone was saying hadaya, and starts also explaining that, okay, look, in order to make it easier, alif and wa and ya, they are like the vowels. And what do you do basically? You just like kind of convert them, like, okay, I will go with alif, like normal like a mud, then u can go with a wow, so u sound, then ya can go with the e sound. So if you are saying hadaya, you can say hada, so you put like this dagger, or how do they call it, this extra word there, hada, and you say yahdi, you are saying yahdi, you say yahdi. And also the same like akwamu, akwayu, so you don't say like akwa, you say akwa. So because of course wa is fatia there, so what is closer to it is like this elongation, like with the ya maksura, so something like that. So yeah, I think that is the summary, and yeah, that's it. So I hope, did I miss anything? Yeah, okay, this is the next one we are going to be studying. Yeah, and that's it.